All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive today. We're tackling the world of wholesale merchanting in mining, construction, and civil engineering machinery.
That's right. We're going to help you get ready for that big interview coming up, give you the insights and tactics to really impress.
I'm excited to dig in. We've got some great resources from RoleCatcher to help us, including their AI-powered prep tools. Did you know those are completely free to use?
Totally free and a fantastic resource.
Let's break down what a wholesale merchant actually does in this industry. It's more than just buying and selling massive machinery, isn't it?
It's more like being a strategic matchmaker to
Right.
connect the companies needing this huge equipment with the suppliers.
Okay, so you're playing a vital role in those big construction projects, mining operations, all that.
Exactly. And it has a major impact on how those industries function.
No wonder the RoleCatcher Career Guide says there's a strong job outlook for people in this field. So let's get into some interview questions that might come up. How about this one? What inspired you to pursue this career? I feel like a lot of people might give a pretty generic answer to that.
It's a classic question, so you've got to stand out. Don't give a textbook answer. Share a personal story that really got you interested in the industry.
Like what? Can you give an example?
Sure. Maybe you grew up watching construction sites in awe, or you have a family member who works in the field. Share something that sparked your interests.
Much more memorable than just saying, I like big machines.
Mhm.
So what about follow-up questions? What if they ask why this specific area of wholesale? Why focus on mining, construction, and those types of machinery?
That's where your research comes in. Highlight what excites you about these industries. Maybe you're drawn to their scale, the technology they use, or the impact they have on building infrastructure. Show them you've done your homework.
Okay, I'm taking notes. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can be really helpful, right? You can practice answering this question and get personalized feedback based on the specific job.
Exactly. It's like having a virtual interview coach in your pocket, tailoring your answers to the specific role.
I love that. Okay, another question they might ask is, what experience do you have in this field? Now, we can't just say, I'm a hard worker and leave it at that, right?
Right, you need specifics. Think about concrete examples from your past roles, even if they weren't directly in this industry.
Like what kind of examples?
Have you negotiated a big deal? Or managed a really complex project, maybe overcome a challenging obstacle, and try to quantify your achievements. If you increased sales, by how much? What strategies did you use?
Oh, using numbers makes a huge difference. So a follow-up to that might be, tell me about a time you faced a challenge in a previous role. How did you overcome it?
Exactly. Have a specific story ready to share, outlining the problem, how you tackled it, and what the positive outcome was.
Okay, so that shows you can solve problems and handle tough situations. Qualities any hiring manager in this industry would want.
Oh.
All right, let's move to the next question. This one is about staying current. How do you stay up to date on the latest trends and developments in this industry? Seems pretty straightforward, but...
It is, but they want to see you're a lifelong learner, engaged with what's happening.
So just saying you read industry publications isn't going to cut it.
You need specifics. Name those publications, websites, blogs, anything you follow. Mention any industry events or conferences you've attended, or even online courses or certifications you've taken.
I bet RoleCatcher's career guide lists some helpful resources too.
They do. And remember, sharing specific insights you've gained from your research shows initiative. For example, you could discuss a recent technological advancement in earth-moving equipment, or talk about how new environmental regulations might impact things.
Okay, so it's about proving you're not just reading, but actually absorbing and thinking about the information. All right, let's talk about building relationships. The question is, how do you approach building relationships with clients? It's such a relationship-driven field. This one feels important.
Absolutely. It's not just selling machines. It's about building long-term partnerships. You need to highlight your communication skills and your ability to really understand client needs.
So being friendly is good, but what about follow-up questions? What should people be ready for?
They might ask you to give a specific example of how you built a strong relationship with a difficult client, or how you've gone above and beyond to keep clients happy. Be ready with those anecdotes.
Okay, I like that. So show, don't just tell. All right, here's the tough one. How do you approach negotiating contracts and pricing? This sounds like a high-stakes situation.
Well, first, remember that negotiations should be collaborative, not confrontational. You want everyone to feel good about the deal.
So getting a good price is important, but it's not the only thing, right? What about those times when the client wants a lower price than you're comfortable with?
Preparation is key. Know the market prices, your company's profit margins, And your bottom line. Focus on the value you bring, not just the price tag.
That makes sense. And RoleCatcher's AI can be helpful here too, can it?
Definitely. You can practice your negotiation skills and get feedback on how to handle different scenarios. The AI can analyze your approach and offer suggestions for improvement.
Fantastic. Okay, one more big question for this part of the deep dive. How do you manage risk? I mean, these industries have inherent risks, right? Prices change, projects get delayed, things happen in the world that can impact business.
That's where you show you can think strategically. Talk about doing your due diligence on potential clients and suppliers. Show that you analyze market trends and can anticipate potential challenges.
So being proactive is crucial. You have to be able to see those risks coming, if possible, and have a backup plan. What kind of follow-up questions might they ask about risk management?
They might ask you to share a time when you identified a risk and took steps to address it, or how you stay informed about global events that could affect business. Be prepared to discuss your research methods and your decision-making skills.
Wow, this role is starting to sound both really complex and really exciting. It's not for everyone, but for the right person, it seems incredibly rewarding.
I agree, and it's not just about the excitement, it's about the impact this role has on these vital industries.
Okay, before we move on to the next part of our deep dive, I want to remind everyone about RoleCatcher's amazing resources. They're free, and seriously, check them out.
They are an invaluable resource for anyone serious about landing this kind of job. They can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Now get ready for part 2. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. Glad to have you with us as we continue this deep dive into wholesale merchanting in mining, construction, and civil engineering machinery.
Yeah, we've covered some tough interview questions.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the knowledge you need to really stand out.
Exactly, because prepping for those questions is only half the battle. Understanding the industry is just as important.
Right, so what kind of industry knowledge should our listeners be focusing on?
First, you need to grasp the dynamics of these three industries, how they work together: mining, construction, civil engineering. Understand the types of machinery they use, their challenges, the big players.
So more than just knowing the difference between, say, a bulldozer and an excavator.
Much more. You need the bigger picture. The RoleCatcher Career Guide has some great advice on this. Attending industry conferences, workshops, trade shows, those can be incredibly helpful.
That makes sense. But not everyone can just jet off to a conference.
Yeah.
What are some other ways to stay informed?
Absolutely. Industry publications, websites, blogs, there's a ton of information out there. You can learn about new technologies, get market analysis, stay updated on regulations, all kinds of things.
Okay, so reading is key. But how do you actually use this knowledge during the interview?
Well, remember those interview questions we practiced earlier? This is where you weave that knowledge into your answers.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's say they ask you about overcoming a challenge. You could talk about a time you had to find a really specialized piece of equipment for a client. Explain how you researched it, the challenges involved, and how you finally got them what they needed.
So you're connecting your experience with your knowledge of the industry to show you could deliver results.
Exactly. You can do the same thing when they ask about staying current. Don't just list publications. Talk about a specific article or trend you found interesting.
Like maybe a new technology in autonomous mining.
Exactly. Or the shift toward sustainable construction practices. Anything that shows you're engaged with what's happening in the industry.
Okay, I get it. It's about showing you're thinking critically about what you're reading, not just giving headlines. Now, we've touched on some soft skills. What about the technical skills you need as a wholesale merchant?
Those are crucial too. Analytical skills, research skills, those are really important for finding buyers and suppliers, understanding market data, all that.
So being comfortable with spreadsheets, data analysis, that sort of thing.
Exactly. You'll be evaluating pricing strategies, making recommendations based on data. Depending on the company, you might also need experience with specific software, like for inventory management or logistics.
Got it. What about negotiation and communication? Those seem pretty essential for this role.
Absolutely. You'll be negotiating deals, building relationships. So clear and persuasive communication is key. You need to be diplomatic and able to handle those tough conversations.
This is sounding more and more challenging, but I have to say it's also sounding more and more rewarding.
It's a unique combination of skills. You need the technical expertise, the business sense, and the people skills.
Are there any certifications or professional development opportunities that would be helpful? I imagine continuing education is pretty important in a field like this.
You're right. While a bachelor's degree is often preferred, it's not always mandatory. But certifications can give you an edge.
In what areas?
Things like supply chain management, international trade, negotiation, those are all good options.
It's about showing you're willing to go the extra mile to stay ahead of the curve.
Exactly. And don't forget industry associations. They often offer training programs and workshops.
Okay, so industry knowledge, technical skills, professional development. Anything else our listeners should keep in mind as they prepare for this interview?
Well, one thing to remember is that this is a global industry. These projects happen all over the world. So understanding international markets and different cultures can be a huge asset.
That makes sense. So if you have experience working with clients or suppliers from other countries, highlight that.
Definitely. And if you speak other languages, even better.
Wow, this is a lot of information. It's kind of overwhelming, but it's also exciting to see how much goes into this role.
You don't need to know everything, but showing that you're eager to learn and that you're passionate about this industry goes a long way.
And remember, RoleCatcher is there to guide you. Their AI tools can really help you tailor your resume and practice your answers.
Speaking of RoleCatcher, let's talk about their AI-powered resume builder. It can help you tailor your resume to each job you apply for.
I find tailoring my resume to be so time-consuming. How does RoleCatcher make it easier?
It's really simple to use. You put in your information, choose the job you're applying for, and the AI goes to work. It's just keywords and phrases, highlights your most relevant skills, all that.
And it helps with those applicant tracking systems, right? The ones that scan resumes for keywords.
Exactly. RoleCatcher helps your resume get past those systems and into the hands of a real person.
I've heard those systems can be a real pain. It's like your resume's going into a black hole.
RoleCatcher helps you avoid that, and it's all part of their free service.
That's amazing. Okay, before we wrap up this part, I want to hear what else we need to cover.
Let's talk about the financial and business side of things. As a wholesale merchant, you're basically running a mini business.
That makes sense. You're dealing with pricing, contracts, all of that. You need to understand how business works.
Right, so get familiar with things like profit margins, supply and demand, risk management, even some basic accounting and finance principles can be helpful.
I'm starting to feel like I need an MBA. Are there any resources you recommend for brushing up on these things?
Don't worry, you don't need to go back to school. There are plenty of online courses, books, industry publications that can help. And of course, RoleCatcher can point you in the right direction.
Okay, that's reassuring. It's all about taking those steps to learn and grow, even if you don't come from a business background.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. Find a mentor, someone in the field who can give you advice. Building your network is really important.
This has been so helpful. I feel like we've covered so much ground. I'm ready for those final interview questions.
Me too. In part 3, we'll dive into those thought-provoking questions that can really set you apart from the competition.
Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back with more insights. All right, welcome back to the deep dive. We are in the final stretch of our deep dive into the world of wholesale merchanting in mining, construction, and civil engineering machinery.
We've covered so much already, from essential skills to industry knowledge, and even how RoleCatcher can give you that extra edge. Now, let's tackle those final interview questions, the ones that can leave a lasting impression.
Yes, the ones that can really set you apart. What's first on the list?
Well, let's revisit a question we touched on earlier. How do you manage risk? You know, in this industry, with the machinery and the global nature of the work, we talked about due diligence and having plans in place, but I want to push a little further. Really think about the specific risks in these industries.
Right, things like the prices of materials going up and down, projects getting delayed, even political instability around the world. How should people be approaching this question?
They want to see you understand the complexities, that you're not just reacting to problems, but thinking ahead and trying to prevent them. Maybe you could discuss how to protect yourself against price changes, or how you stay informed about what's happening around the world that could affect projects.
Okay, so it's about being proactive and strategic about risk, not just hoping for the best.
Exactly. All right, let's move to another question that might come up. How do you approach negotiating contracts and pricing? These are big deals, a lot of money involved. Any tips for staying cool under pressure and making sure everyone wins?
It does feel kind of high stakes. How do you balance getting a good deal for your company while also building those relationships with clients?
Well, remember that negotiation should be a collaboration, not a fight. The goal is to find a solution that works for everyone involved. Show them that you're a good listener, that you understand what the client needs, and are willing to be creative to make it work.
It's not just about getting the lowest price possible.
Right. Think about things like payment schedules. Maybe there's flexibility there, customization options for the equipment, maintenance packages, even financing solutions. Offer value beyond just the machine itself.
So it's about being a partner, not just a salesperson. And I bet this is another area where RoleCatcher can be super helpful, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Practice different negotiation scenarios, get feedback on how to handle different types of clients.
Amazing how technology can even help with something like negotiation skills.
Ah,
Okay, last question, and I think it's a really important one. What inspired you to pursue a career in this field? We touched on this earlier, but I feel like we can dig even deeper.
yeah, this is your chance to really leave a strong impression. Don't just talk about yourself. Connect it to something bigger, something the interviewer can connect with. Show them your passion for these industries.
Okay. What do you mean by bigger picture?
Think about the impact these industries have. Mining provides the materials for pretty much everything we use. Construction shapes our cities, our communities. Civil engineering connects people and improves lives.
So instead of just saying I'm good at math and I like big machines, I should talk about how I want to be a part of something that's building a better future.
Exactly. Talk about the things you genuinely care about. The challenge of making these complex global deals happen, the satisfaction of seeing a project finished, knowing you had a part in it.
I like that. It shows you're not just looking for any job. You want to be part of something meaningful.
Yeah.
That's got to resonate with interviewers.
It does. Authenticity is always important. And through this whole process, don't forget, RoleCatcher is a fantastic resource. Their AI tools can help you tailor your resume, practice thousands of interview questions. It's really like having a personal career coach.
And it's free, which is amazing. We can't recommend it enough.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final question to think about. What type of large-scale trade would you be most excited to facilitate in this industry? And why?
That's a great question to think about. Really gets you thinking about the possibilities and the impact this work can have.
We encourage you to explore that question. Think about your own goals and motivations. Use that to fuel your success in this exciting field.
That's it for our deep dive into the world of wholesale merchanting. We hope this has helped you feel more prepared and confident as you get ready for your interview. We wish you all the best in your job search.